Well, what do we have? Look what the cat drug in. Look the news that's dropping. Anthony Kim is back. He's back. Now, I mean, we had the news out first right here. We did. We had it. Okay. I dropped the podcast at night. And then the next day, everybody started talking about it. Now, I don't know if everybody started talking about it because of my podcast, but we broke the news here, got zero credit from everybody. They claim to break the news. Whatever. Do your thing. We know. You and I know what happened. And I'm grateful to my sources. Thank you very much. You know who you are. And, we've got certain people in certain places that have revealed news to me, other news too that I haven't even talked about yet. So, we try to keep things precise. We try to be accurate. We said Anthony Kim and Viktor Hovland. Now, Viktor Hovland has been going back and forth. From what we were hearing, he was at the table, not at the table, back, and then I break the news that it's him and Anthony Kim, and then everybody talks about Anthony Kim, and again, no credit for the Mr. Short Game podcast, but whatever, we're going to be adults about this, barely, but a little bit. So anyways, okay. Then Hovland goes back and says no, and then he was back at the table just the other day, but it's a fluid situation to say the least. Now, Anthony Kim, rumor also has that he was the guys who do Full Swing, all right, were doing a documentary of Anthony Kim, and halfway through it, Anthony Kim stopped, and they were obviously not thrilled. That's what I've heard on the rumor mill. But so there you go. So there you go. And now this is being reported now that Anthony Kim is joining LIV for the wild card spots. Brilliant move. We're going to talk about what those wild card spots are and how they could really be a benefit for a guy like Anthony Kim and whoever gets the other one that week. Like, it's week to week, right? But they're wild card spots. We're expecting Anthony's return March 1st, which would put us in, this is kind of a bummer, but the first tournament right now is in Mayakoba. Then we go to Las Vegas, February 8th through 10th. Then we go March 1st through 3rd in Saudi Arabia. So it looks like March 1st, Anthony Kim, wild card spot, one of the two wild card spots, Saudi Arabia. Then March 8th through 10th is Hong Kong. If he still has a wild card spot, we'll see. And then hopefully we get to see him for the first time in the United States, April 5th through 7th at the Trump National Doral in Miami, right? So that would be cool. First U.S. sighting of Anthony Kim playing golf in Miami. I'm going to do whatever I can to get down there April 5th through 7th. Then they go to Australia, Singapore, then Houston would be out of this world, given the fact that AK is like living in Dallas. So that would be June 7th through 9th. And then we're in Nashville, June 21st through 23rd. Awesome. Could be there. Then they go to Spain, United Kingdom, and finish the season off. There's some other events, but Greenbrier. So that's what we're looking at for Anthony Kim. Hasn't played since like 2012, over 10 years. He's been Bigfoot. He's been just this mythical, golfing legend that has disappeared. So, wildcard spot. Here's what's interesting about these wildcard spots is this. How do they apply to your PGA Tour status? All right. Okay, so check it out. They have 13 teams, 4 players a team. So they need like 2 spots to make 54 players, which is pretty good because LIV is 54. They play 54 holes. So kind of rounds things off instead of in a nice number. So they're given 2 wild card spots. You're not on a team, right? You're just playing in the tournament. So this is interesting because these captains, these team owners, could have opportunity to pick up one of the wild cards, make them an offer. And then this potential wild card person could have their pick of, hey, okay, I want to be on this team or that team or whatever. So right now, the captains or the owners of the teams are playing. In 10, 15, 20 years, they're not going to be playing, right? They're just going to be owners of a team, like a football team owner, like let's say Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, right? He doesn't play. But many, many years ago, he didn't play, but like when the NFL began, like if you wanted to own a team, it might go to some of these well-known players. Like that's what they're doing here in golf. Like, how do we get you to come to our league? Here's a team. You're the owner. You're a partial owner. You have ownership of the league, of the team. So we're talking about that because right now it's difficult for a player, one of the teammates, to like tell another guy, you're out of here. We're cutting you off the team. Whereas if you're just the owner, you don't play anymore, then it's easy. You have a relationship, but at the end of the day, you're like, hey, you're out. We're going to let you go. We're going to bring in somebody else. That's how that's ultimately probably going to work. But right now, these wild card guys, that's interesting because you could see them play and make them an offer to be part of your team. So it also depends on the contracts of the players on the other teams. What's my contract? Okay, I'm on the Crushers or the Aces or whatever, the Ripper, GC, I know it's weird names, but whatever. You're under contract. What's your contract say? As a captain, you might sign a guy for, hey, we're week to week with you. We're going to have you come in week to week. We don't know. It's a weekly contract, which means another team could offer that guy a contract and he can move over. Maybe they say, hey, we want you for the whole year, and you move. Like you're a free agent, or you signed a contract for 6 events or 2 years, whatever it is, right? And we're going to pay you maybe. The owner of the team could say, hey, I'm going to give you a higher percentage of our team winnings if you're on our team. There's all kinds of fascinating ways you can go structure your team or recruit and entice players to join your team. So these wild card spots, though, are interesting because if you go and you play in a wild card spot, technically you're not a live player. You're not on a team. So what is the PGA Tour stance on those guys? This is an interesting revolving door, so to speak. So you could play a PGA Tour event and then say, hey, I'm not going to play this week. I'm going to be a wild card. I'm not joining live. I'm just going to play in that event as a wild card. I'm not on a team. I'm just a wild card. There's a gray area there. And for a guy like Anthony Kim, it's perfect because he still can get PGA Tour exemptions. He still has, past champion status where he can get into events. He has he might qualify for the major medical injury where he can come back and have so many events to make a certain amount of money and then earn his tour card, which is very difficult. But he had an injury, major injury. He's been out for a long time. So he could have some of that, use those to get into some events. So this is a great way for a guy like him to kind of test the waters of LIV and say to the PGA Tour, look, I'm not ready to come back to the PGA Tour just yet. My game's we don't know where my game is in competition. So here's what I'm going to do. LIV is offering me wild card spots. What do you say I go over there and play and just kind of get in shape and see where I'm at? And then if I'm good, then you guys can see, and the sponsors can see me play, and we can kind of gauge the fan interest, which is going to be off the charts, and then we can go play on a PGA Tour event. So Anthony Kim, he could be playing two sides of the field here. We don't really know. We're going to find out. But all we know now is that Anthony Kim is coming back, and he's going to play on a LIV event, most likely March 1st. Man, I sure hope it's earlier, like in Las Vegas, because that's coming up, and that would be so sick. But he might want to just say, look, I don't want all – that would be crazy. That place would go nuts. Everybody would be there. You guarantee it would be off the Vegas. Anthony Kim might be too much for anybody to handle. But if that were the case, that would be crazy. So being gone so long, he might say, well, look, I need to ease my way back into it. We're going to go as far away as possible to Saudi Arabia where, they don't know who he is. He's just whatever. There's not even that many fans at the Saudi tournament last year, so it was pretty light. So it might be a perfect entry point for Anthony Kim. If I'm him, that's probably the way I would do it. But if I'm me, I'm rooting for him to come to Vegas. So let's just all put the pressure out there. Anthony Kim, he'll be back. You heard it here first. Look, you heard it here first. You know it. And well, I don't care what anybody says. We got our finger on the pulse of a lot of things happening in golf. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, or I'll come get you, and I'll build a statue of Anthony Kim in your driveway out of Titleist Pro V1 golf balls. So you better subscribe. See you guys soon.